in the room. The Bucks winning tonight. Shorthanded Bucks winning tonight. 113-106 over the Los Angeles Clippers. Come on in the room. Doc is our doctor. He writes out all of our scriptures. He gives us our medicine in our room. We are live. It's the Cream City crossover. On a night like tonight, you got to give it all the respect that is due. We're live on the Cream City crossovers. The Guru Trey Crosby III.
JT,
Chris King.
Preach, brother man, preach. Preach,
this
brother
one.
man.
Listen,
you know what?
Yeah.
Hey, we got an organ bump here. Let's go ahead and let Pastor Trey go ahead and let that brother sing. Go ahead.
Yeah. Take your seats. Let the church say amen if you can, because the Bucks went on a tear. That was a beautiful, absolutely beautiful mid-third, fourth quarter from the Milwaukee Bucks. They outscored the Los Angeles Clippers 40-25, 113-106. The Bucks win it. You can get at us on the Twitter at TCIIIESQ. You can get at us on the YouTube. We'll read your comments. We'll talk about it. Shorthanded Bucks. We find out before the game, but mere moments before the game, Giannis going through his workout. By the way, his workout routine. We'll talk about that because I want to stay on a high note tonight. But the workout looked kind of rough. Like the left Achilles, he threw the ball down. You're like, oh man, I'm telling you, I had low expectations. Coming into this one. You got the LA Clippers. Kawhi's healthy. James Harden's healthy. Paul George is healthy. They've been playing a little bit better, doing what they do. And now, the Bucks, no Giannis, no Chris Middleton, having to start a 5 tough game stretch. You're going to start a West Coast trip, but you begin it at home against the Clippers. You begin it shorthanded. There's so many bad things that are going on. Well, not bad things, but just about this game in particular. And then you start the game off kind of ho-hum, and you got Steve. The other thing is bad. Steve Novak starts off on the program, and your day's already messed up when Steve Novak is color commentating with Lisa Byington. So that was rough to start the thing off with. I know a lot of viewers were having some issues in Milwaukee because they played the game on the M. Instead of being on Bally's. So you had the game on the M, and apparently the antennas were rough, and so it was like I think they didn't have the HD broadcast going, so y'all were watching on standard definition. You know how you say you saw that in 8K? They were watching it in 0K, 1K. That's how bad it looked out there. And so this thing started off rough. The Bucks were down, but the Bucks found a way to win it 113-106 over the Los Angeles Clippers. Let's do it. Let's get into the game recap, sponsored, as always, by the law office of Daily M. Johnson. When you need defense, where?
Off the court.
Off the court. You need that defense off the court. You get at the law office of Daily M. Johnson. He's serving South Central Wisconsin with criminal defense, injunction defense, criminal defense, traffic OWI defense, TROs. What's that, JT?
Temporary restraining orders.
You know it. And injunctions. You give him a call at 608-893-8370. He's located at 411 West Main Street, Suite 110. Contact him. Go to his website, www.dmjlaw.com. Sign up for a free phone or in-person consultation. And let's run through some of these numbers again. 113-106, the Milwaukee Bucks beat the Los Angeles Clippers. Damian Lillard goes 41 minutes. You know how many points he scored in 41 minutes? 41 points. He said he got a point a minute. He was counting the minutes he was in, and he was scoring a bucket for every time he was on the floor. 41 minutes, 41 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal from him. And get this, 41 points on 22 shots. Efficient, 54% from 2 and 4 from 9, 44% from 3. Love it. Patrick Beverly got to start tonight. 12 points, 9 boards for him. He had 4 steals, folks. That's what Patrick Beverly provides. That's what he does. They left him open all night, so he put up, he was 4 for 10, 3 of 7 from 3. Brook Lopez, shaky-ish game from Brook Lopez, 6 points, 6 boards from him. Jay Crowder, only 18 minutes. He had 3 points. Malik Beasley had a rough night. Did hit a big 3, had 3 steals. Like, again, this team finished with 8 steals. Like, they were ball hawking a little bit tonight. Malik Beasley got 3 steals, did have 5 points, 2 for 11 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3. And again, you see some of those differences when Giannis is not on the floor. with Dame to create some of that gravity and get those open shooters. Malik Beasley, I think guys were closing out a little bit faster on him, but he did hit a big one late, got a big steal late, got to the basket, stole a Kawhi Leonard pass in the fourth quarter and got a layup. That was big. But again, the second guy who was big tonight, you had Damian Lillard with 41. You had Bobby Portis. 29 minutes, 30 minutes for him. He puts up 28 and 16, 12 of 18 from the floor, 2 of 4 from 3. He was a plus 14 tonight. Huge minutes from him. Pat Connaughton gave you 8 points. Danilo Gallinari, he closed until the last 5 minutes of the game. Danilo Gallinari was in 16 minutes for him, but AJ Green gets 22 minutes. He gets more minutes than Jay Crowder, more minutes than Pat Connaughton, more minutes than Danilo Gallinari. 22 minutes from AJ Green. Call him Derry Bird if you want. 2 of 4 from 3, and one of those threes was deep. I think the Bucks were up 98-96, and he pulled up from 33, pulled up from Oshkosh Sheboygan to hit that 3 right over Paul George. What did Paul George say? Paul George always said that's a bad shot. And AJ Green pulled up that bad shot and put it right in his face. Dot the I. AJ Green. On the Clippers side of things, Kawhi Leonard, only 16 points from Kawhi. He looked a little passive to me tonight, but 16 points, 19 shots. Just wasn't a great night for Kawhi. Didn't look like he was really establishing himself. Paul George, he looked good, 29. James Harden turned back the time tonight, 29, 8 assists. He was also aided by some very fortunate calls from him. Daniel Tyus got in the action, 7 points. Norm Powell was 6 points. Trey, what was that? The Zubac with 6 points and 11 boards. But again, tonight, the Bucks, and I'll say this, Damian Lillard started off everything, right? Damian Lillard started off big in the first half, first quarter. They got 15 first quarter points, kept the Bucks in it. And the Bucks, and so many times I've seen this happen to Milwaukee, where a team keeps it just enough. And that was a game that the Clippers should have won. I know that the LA Clippers won a back-to-back, but the Milwaukee Bucks, you don't have Giannis, you don't have Damian Lillard, you don't have Chris Middleton. So you're not going to get the excuse of it was a back-to-back. We just didn't have, oh man, no. The Bucks are playing shorthanded right now. And so, but Damian Lillard kept them in it just long enough. This reminded me a little bit of the Utah game the Bucks had on the back. I believe that was on a back-to-back in Utah. Where I think that was one of Doc Rivers' games, where you were up in the fourth quarter and they just got blitzed. I mean, Utah just ran us, just hawked us down in the fourth quarter. That's what happened to the LA Clippers. But the Bucks didn't have a complement of their full team tonight. So you just saw so much of that. But the Bucks, again, it's so important to just stick around. And it was 13 and 15. The Bucks were down. But they never, and I think I tweeted out 1 point, said the Bucks are in the danger zone here. When they got to about, I think the largest they were down was about 15 points, and they just never let the Clippers really put their foots to throats and take everything away. They never let it get that far. The Bucks got it down, I think, like 6 points or so, somewhere in the third. You saw some momentum start to roll, and then the Clippers ran away with it again. And then in the fourth quarter, the Milwaukee Bucks just absolutely stormed through. And again, a lot of it was due to Bobby Portis. A lot of it was Damian Lillard. Malik Beasley finally knocked down the 3, but everybody started playing well. And the Clippers, again, maybe some of those tired legs started to show. But again, it's no excuse. You've got to find a way to pull that out if you're the LA Clippers. This is a bad loss. It's a bad loss for the Los Angeles Clippers. This is a huge win for the Milwaukee Bucks. Absolutely huge win. One of the biggest wins of the season. The Bucks are now 2-1 when Giannis misses. We're going to talk about this all night long. Obviously, a huge win. 113-106. The Bucks win. That's a little bit of what I saw, JT. What'd you see?
Man, you know what? To summarize it, I saw a team that would not quit, that just would not stop fighting. Well, let's talk about it, right? So the first half, I thought Damian Lillard came out swinging. He had 19 in the first half, and Bobby had 10. I thought Dame came out. But here's where I'm really was impressed with Dame. You realize in that first half, Damian Lillard was 7 for 12, right? And 3 for 5 from 3. So again, you saw a strong shooting night coming from Dame. He wasn't pressing. I didn't ask any questions. I don't remember a play where I was like, why the hell would he shoot that, right? I saw Damian Lillard come out, and what I really wanted to see was what we were expecting when Dame came to Milwaukee. I wanted to see Superman tonight. I wanted to see Dame put this team on his back. And you know what? The man did that, right? He 100% did that. I loved it, right? What I was also impressed with was that the Bucks were striking distance at halftime, right? It was 58. It was 55 to 48, right? So they're only down 7, despite the fact that they lost GA, despite the fact that the game plan included GA until we had to scratch that at the last minute, right? I love to see it. I love to see this team compete and not give up. What else did I see tonight? I saw Bobby Portis, and I'm going to say this right now. When Bobby Portis is getting buckets, this team is hard to beat. And I don't care who we're playing against. When Bobby Portis is getting buckets off that bench, this team is hard to beat. I saw Bobby have 10 in the first and 18 in the second. I saw Bobby have 14 in that fourth quarter. I saw Bobby put some – and sorry, guys, I'm getting a little fired up here. I saw Bobby Portis show up and say, you know what, Superman, I got you tonight. I got you. It's going to be us two getting this in. It's going to be us two getting fired up tonight, making this thing work, right? Now, little underwhelmed by Brook's performance, and I get it. It's just, I expected more from Brook. I expected more from Beasley, right? But let me tell you who said, hey, y'all, we can't find the belt right now. I'm going to go get it. And it was Patrick Beverly in that fourth quarter. It's Patrick Beverly that had that key steal on James Harden. It's Patrick Beverly who hit that 3 to tie this thing at 96 and had made everybody hype because this game was tied. Then it was Patrick Beverly who had that key steal on James Harden that gave that thing to Dame. Dame had that driving layup, and the Bucks took the lead for the first time since the first quarter. It's Patrick Beverly that did that. They went ahead and said, no, guys, hey, we on the belt to ass tour. Oh, this thing gonna continue tonight, right? That's what I saw tonight. And man, let me tell you, I'm going full on Deion Sanders. What Deion say? Because Deion's got a whole bunch of quotes. Well, you got to believe. And you know what? Doc got everybody believing, right? Like Journey in a karaoke bar. Boy, let me tell you, I'm not gonna stop. And I know Chris ain't gonna stop. And I know Trey's not gonna stop.
Bobby Portis, baby. Bobby Portis. Give it up. Bobby Portis,
Give me the eyes.
We're gonna put some respect on that man's name, right? We said at the trade deadline we wanted him gone. No,
yes,
it wasn't the case. John Horst saw something that we obviously didn't see. We take accountability on this program, the Cream City crossover. We trust you, Bobby. We love you. We love you, dog. It was just harsh criticism, all right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be dressing up as you if I didn't love you. You're the guy. What I love to see from Bobby is the fact that, look, he takes advantage of mismatches. He is a problem out there to guard. Bigger bigs, they're too slow to get out on him. He's hitting them with that turnaround jumper. Smaller bigs, he's punishing them. And I love that about Bobby Portis, and his consistency is finally starting to show, baby. It's finally starting to show, and I love it from Bobby Portis. What else did I see tonight? Obviously, they never wavered, Trey. I agree. In that second quarter, they found themselves down a lot. They tried to make a run at it. Were sloppy in transition, turning the ball over, but that didn't get them discouraged. They came out slow in the third quarter, but they still forced those turnovers that they needed. They still forced those misses that they needed to keep them within reach. Yeah, Malik Beasley didn't have it tonight, okay? He comes in and trusts his three-point shot and knocks down about as big of a shot as you can get just to give the Bucks some momentum going into the fourth quarter to go down to, what was it, 5 or 6 at that point? I mean, that was a great shot. Derry Bird, the minutes from him were great. They were huge. It's huge to see that Doc Rivers has the trust in Derry Bird as well. And look, when Malik Beasley doesn't have it, you have that weapon in your back pocket. That's the best part about this team. I love it. I said before the show when Trey and John were on your T's and Q's, I said this is going to be a huge test for the Bucks because it's going to show how much depth they have not only, but it's going to force some of these guys who are kind of hiding under the radar to perform. And they did that tonight, and I love that about the Bucks. Great win. So happy.
Hey, one time for Chris King.
One time for Chris King. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And you know what excites me about this, right? It's the fact that it's like, yo, people talk about they got shooters. Hey, we got shooters, right? Y'all might have y'all sharpshooter. We got a row of muskets in the back, Jack. We got a row of muskets in the back because Pat Bev can give you 1 from 3. AJ Green can give you 1 from 3. Damian Lillard can give you 1 from 3. Brook Lopez can give you 1 from 3. Malik Beasley can give you 1 from 3. AJ Green will give you 1 from 3. Man, we got the Pat Connaughton on a good day. Woo! We stretch this thing out and give you 1 from 3. Danilo Gallinari, if he wants to turn back the clock to, 2018, he'll give you 1 from 3.
Big putback dunk, though. Big putback dunk. Putback dunk by Danilo was huge.
Shooters. Man, we got shooters.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You have playmakers, you have shooters. But listen, you have defenders. That's one of the main differences between this game and what would have happened months ago with the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks wouldn't have had the opportunity. They would not have had the opportunity to win this basketball game because they would have given up more than 113 points. They would not have been able to more than 106 points. They just would not have been able to hold the Clippers. And again, even without a premier defender in the NBA, Giannis, and one of your better defenders on your team, Chris Middleton, you're still able to get stops. You're still able to not get absolutely manhandled by another basketball team who had the benefit of some great play from James Harden and some great play from Paul George. Again, Kawhi Leonard didn't do much, but again, the Bucks just did a great job all over the floor. Again, thoroughly impressed by what I saw from just about everybody who stepped on the court. Like, everybody was able to contribute. You talked about Malik Beasley not being able to hit shots. But again, he had a steal. He made a couple plays. He was out there hustling and battling. Pat Bev, you talk about just the energy that he brings to this basketball team. This team is different. This team is 100% different. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. They're playing different. They look different. There was a play, and again, momentum is just huge because there's a play. You talk about Bobby Portis, Chris. There was a play in the first half where Bobby took a terrible shot with Kawhi Leonard defending him. And he just tried to post up Kawhi Leonard, one of the best defenders in the entire league. And it didn't work at all, right? And in the fourth quarter, he did it again. And at this time, the Bucks are rolling. Everything's going well. And I'm like, oh, man, I don't think that's a good shot. And he just goes one-on-one, bodying up Kawhi Leonard, puts it right in over. I'm like, man, that's the kind of stuff that happens when you got guys that are believing, when you stick around. And again, that confidence just starts to build. And the Bucks just did a tremendous, tremendous job in that fourth quarter. Like I said, late through the third and in the fourth quarter, finding ways to win. I think it was Green Ranger who said, who says right here, you don't win this game with Drew Holiday. Man, take it. A win like this. This is why I love the Bucks fans. I love Bucks Nation because we can be petty. In a win like this, you don't win this game with Drew Holiday. I'm sorry. You make the trade for Dame 10 out of 10 times. And again, that's just that. Is it petty? Maybe. But those are facts. Those are just facts.
You know, and I wholeheartedly agree with that analysis, right? Like, the reality of it is no, absolutely not. You don't win this game with Drew Holiday, and that's right. But listen, we're trying to go places that we haven't gone before with Dame, right? Like, we're trying to literally maximize our window. Yes, I know we won a title with Drew Holiday, right? But you know what? Who said we just need one, right? If we're trying to build that dynasty, if we're trying to make a run at maximizing Giannis's window, you 100% had to do it. Because you know what you saw Dame do tonight? You saw Dame take over the game. You saw Dame put this team on his back, right? And I think Drew was a great supporting cast. But when he going to be the lead actor? How well are you going to do when Drew's the lead actor? Come on now. Stop playing. Stop playing. Hey, you know what? Can I do something real fast for y'all?
Go ahead, yeah.
Man, you know what? Because I'm feeling it right now.
Oh, yeah.
Can I do something for y'all?
What's up?
Get into it.
All right, here we go. Tell me when y'all hear it.
This man still believing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, don't give me a copyright. Hell, we got to keep this video up, so we can't get.
Yes, sir. Let me tell you something, right? I am. Listen, man. Let me tell you something. I'm that middle-aged woman at the karaoke night who's at her first night out in 3 weeks. Oh my gosh, you hear that? Oh yeah. My gosh. Oh man, I hope our listeners go ahead and sing along. I know y'all tapping y'all feet. You know what? And this is one of the songs. You know what I love about this song?
What's that? This
is a song that's a dead giveaway. When it comes on, if you black and you like it, that's because you got friends of different ethnicities, right? And it's a dead giveaway. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah. Look, I know you've either been to college or you grew up in a diverse area if you're black and you know the song, right? The fact that I got it in my app of music, right, tells you something. I'm just gonna tell y'all, man, I can't believe it. I'm not gonna stop believing when it comes to this team. You just can't do it. I was skeptical about Doc. I think we all were, because boy, that start was as shaky as could be. And everybody said, listen, man, you got a Ferrari. All you had to do was drive the car. And Doc was driving this thing into the wall. It was like, yo, what is happening? But something after that All-Star break, I don't know if folks just went to the blessing. I don't know if they went to the wishing well. I'm not really sure. But the way this team has shown up these 6 straight games, if you're not inspired, it's because you're not watching.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of merit to the fact that if we have Drew, we probably lose this game. I think there was a ton of just flashes of Portland Dame in this one. Look, the sub rotation was very similar to what you see with Dame when he was in Portland. The way he came out, he played the whole first quarter, and he kept us in it. And, I think that's the best part about having a guy like Dame is because you can be missing your best superstars in Chris and Giannis and still have an opportunity to win it. So I loved it. He created so much for other people. We'll get to Dame when we talk about Dame and Bobby. But, yeah, it was phenomenal. Great win.
Hey, you know what? I just want to throw this out there, too. Because I know we made a video about it on Friday?
What's that?
When's the last video we made? When's the last show we had? Friday, right? Cream City Crossover was on Friday. Yeah, listen. Whoever it was that got Dame up out that apartment, hey, salute. Because I like this energy. I like
you know who it could have been? It could have been Glorilla. That's who could have got him about that apartment.
There it
is.
We need to stay away from
Glorilla.
No. I do. Listen, man. Just listen, right? Ask the young boy, ask Beasley or one of these boys, right? Instagram baddies, right? Give them a whole list, all right? This is what I need. An Instagram baddie. Let's craft this DM. Let's get this going. Let's fly them on out. They got direct flights to Milwaukee. Churro Mitchell International.
Glorilla buying her own. She got enough money to buy her own flight.
It wasn't Glorilla. Don't do that. Nope.
Todd Merrill said, "You all." So this is funny because Todd Merrill says you all wanted to dump Portis. Okay, and granted, Todd.
At the time, it was justified.
But what's funny is Todd Merrill wanted to trade Damian Lillard. So you can't give me that you wanted to dump Portis when you wanted to trade Damian Lillard. Yeah, we're gonna keep receipts.
But hold on. But why did? But hang on. Let's dig into this for a second. We wanted to dump Portis. Why? Because we said if Bobby's not giving you anything offensively, you're not going to be able to play him in the playoffs. We've seen this movie play out a ton of time. At the time, Bobby was giving you wildly inconsistent offensive performances and was all over the place. And we were thinking, hey, we have some deficiencies here. The biggest trade chip would be Bobby Portis if we're going to address these deficiencies. Now, when we were clamoring for trade Bobby Portis, Doc Rivers was not in the picture. He wasn't in the picture. This was under Dr. Griffin, right? So let's be real here. The reason why we said trade Bobby Portis is because based on the performance we were seeing at the time, we didn't know what the deal is with Bobby, but he was wildly inconsistent. We knew he couldn't help us in the play. We knew it was more likely than not he wasn't going to be able to help us in the playoffs. We knew he was going to be a liability defensively, and we thought the offense was diminishing. That's why we wanted to trade Bobby Portis.
Well, yeah, exactly. And again, what I'll say is, and I said this before, is if you're not playing well, and that's what this is about. We talked about this before, JT. We don't work for the Bucks. I'm not a Bucks employee. I don't have to be cheery just at August. Because here's the thing, you know a guy a lot of people aren't talking about, because everybody's doing holding receipts on Bobby Portis. A guy who's also playing well, and not to the level of Bobby Portis, but who's playing well. Pat Connaughton's doing the same thing, and everybody wanted Pat Connaughton gone as well. But he has stepped his game up. Everybody has stepped their game up. And again, same thing with Damian Lillard. Not now, again, I never wanted him out of Milwaukee, but the same thing that I talked about, that I was mercilessly crucified for when I was saying he needed to tap into the Kobe, the Mamba mentality, and he needed to tap into some of that with his off-the-court personal issues. You have to put those aside. You've got to find a way to go out and deliver. And again, it's just like coaches used to tell you, like, man, you don't talk when the scrubs are scrubs. You don't talk to the scrubs when they messing up. But to the star players, to the guys that I know can play better, I know you're better than 3 for 15, Dame. That's why I get on Damian, because I know you have that in you. I know you're better than what he's shown. And tonight was more of that. I want to talk about tonight because I want to talk about the free throws. One thing I saw about this team, not just the free throws, but the way the fouls were called. And Damian Lillard constantly gets fouled. They don't call it. Tonight was a good indicator, a good show of why you have to stay on the refs and why I think Doc Rivers does one of the better jobs of coaches in the league. Probably better. And I see somebody saying, why are we talking about Bud and it's funny. There's a comment that was in there. It says, why are we talking about Bud and Dr. Griffin? Like, dog, y'all realize we've been through 3 coaches in less than a calendar year. So again, all this is relevant. Ain't like I'm talking about people from 20 years ago. I'm not talking about Scott Skiles. Like these people who are just. So this is relevant. I'm not talking about Jason Kidd. This is relevant. I'm not talking about Larry Drew. This is relevant to now. And so we haven't seen a full calendar year under Doc Rivers or Rivers for that matter. But this is where we're at now. And so I think what Doc Rivers does better than really both of those guys is he's able to work the officials. And I thought Damian Lillard did a really good job in the first half, making a point of it. And again, he didn't foul bait so much in the first half because he couldn't. He wasn't going to be able to foul bait because again, if you're foul baiting the game where you're the only guy, right, and trying to be a foul merchant, it's just not going to work out. You got to go play because if you don't, you're going to get blown out. So he didn't do that, but he made sure to get his voice heard and talk about it. He got the tech in the first half, right? The first half he got the tech. So he picks up a technical foul, getting on the referees, and immediately out of the halftime break, right? They called a phantom foul that really wasn't I guess he was hand on the back just a little bit, but they called a foul. The Clippers challenged it. But the point is, you got the referees to start thinking consciously or subconsciously about the way they were going to call this game. And Damian Lillard and the Bucks in general got so many more fouls called for them in the second half than they did in the first. And I thought the Bucks, like I said, from Doc Rivers to Damian Lillard, did a really good job of just focusing in on that and riding those refs throughout the first half and into the second half. Well, I'm just saying they rode them. They rode them into the second. I'm just saying that's what they did. And again, I think it worked. And they got some better calls. James Harden still got his fair share of calls. I thought that were just. I mean, I don't know. I thought some of them were kind of. There was one that was like he took it off his hip. I can't remember who they called it on, but like literally nobody touched him. Doc Rivers had to use 2 challenges, one of which the ball went off of. They said the ball went off Adrian Green. It wasn't even close. So it sucks. We have to use your challenges for those kind of calls. But again, I think it worked tonight. And again, Damian Lillard ends up putting up 13 free throws tonight, which again is crazy in a game where when the Bucks had Giannis, Dame is not getting to the line that much. He's only, I think that before tonight, for the month of February, Damian Lillard got to the line 4.5 times. It was attempted 4.5 free throws a game in the month of February. When early in the season he was getting 10 free throws a night. Tonight he picks up 13. He hits all 13 of them. That was big in the win. Yeah,
I would certainly agree with that. I think that obviously Giannis not being there definitely changes things. I like to see. First off, I love the fact that Doc uses a challenge, and I hope this keeps. Like, listen, man, challenge these goofy. Challenge this. Yes, you have to. You got to use it. One thing I'll say about Dame, right? Sometimes it looks a little bit like. You remember when Allen Iverson was playing? Man, that man would get absolutely destroyed, right? And I think they're close in stature, right? I think Dame is like he was 6'1" or 6'2", and I think Allen Iverson was 6 feet. Even though, I mean, let's be real, I think 5'10". If they listen, your height at 6 feet, you're not. Yeah, come on, man. Right, but you see that. You see it a lot. Dame does kind of get abused, man, and he does not get calls. But I'll be looking at Dame, man. I sure hope he has a little dry fit with the padding or whatever on, just to go ahead and protect himself. But one thing I will say is I do wonder what the playoff whistle looks like for Dame, right? Because Dame is a superstar, and I feel like the league does protect its stars. So maybe the playoff whistle will be a little better for Dame.
Yeah, we'll see. But I do think there's a ton of truth to what Trey said. Look, Doc Rivers challenged 2 calls, and he got them both right. And I think that was a big part in just letting these refs know that they were trash all night. They were horrible. But, I also think that there's some truth to the Bucks just playing great defense. And without fouling, I think the Clippers settled for a lot more threes in the second half. And that's what helped the Bucks come back into this game, too. It's not even about them trying to foul bait or in the second half at all. I think the Bucks just played great, clean defense, and I think that helped a lot in the win too.
Shout out to Matthew Curley at Curley_Synergy says, tap in. These guys are putting on a great show, bringing that Pat Bev energy from the jump. Seth Wolf, and I want to shout out Seth Wolf at He Manseth on Twitter because he's always commented on the show. And tonight, I think he apparently lives a decent amount away from the arena, about 200 miles. He went to the arena tonight, and it's just how things go in the NBA. He goes to the arena, but of course he's spending his hard-earned money, his cash, to go see the Milwaukee Bucks play. He's driving, and he finds out that Giannis is not playing. And one of the things he tweeted out before the game was, "I'm never going to go to a game again because, this sucks to spend your money." I'm sure he spent a grip to go see the Milwaukee Bucks play the LA Clippers in a year where Giannis has played all but after tonight. Giannis only missed 3 games in the entire NBA season. So he's giving the fans their money's worth. And this is the night you decide to take a 200-mile trip to go see the Milwaukee Bucks, to go to Fiserv Forum, to go take all of that in, and there's no Giannis. And you're feeling like this is going to be a blowout. This is going to suck. This is going to be, like I said, I'm sure you're going to try to salvage a good night. But it's for all intents and purposes, you didn't get what you paid for. And he tweeted me, just went to the team store and bought a Damian Lillard jersey and said, "Damian Lillard, thank you for saving my night, for saving my trip." And that's what you want to see. When guys don't, because again, Giannis had a legitimate injury, that those happen, things happen. But when that happens, you want somebody else to show up. You want to feel like, because again, what are they gonna tell you, JT? You can't sue a team because star players don't play. You paid to see the Milwaukee Bucks, and so if I'm gonna pay to go see the Milwaukee Bucks, I want to see a product. And again, so you just have to appreciate what Damian Lillard did, because you don't feel like you didn't see a star tonight. You saw a legitimate superstar step into the building. We talked about Batman and Superman before, and you made the analogy that Damian Lillard stayed into the Clark Kent, never changed over into the Superman outfit, was in the phone booth and the news reporter, whatever he was doing, never came out to suit and tie. Well, he jumped into the phone booth tonight, and he turned into an absolute superstar, wearing his spandex all around the arena.
My G, he jumped into the phone, but he just showed up ready to go. He showed up ready to go. The hell with the damn phone booth. Dame said, "Man, the hell with that. Listen here. This is the only outfit I got today." And that's what I saw, and I absolutely loved it. And yeah, man, just like we talk about it, man. What happened? Oh, you talking about the dishwasher? Hey, you gotta make sure your dishwasher is clean, man. Listen, man. To my fellas out there that are married, your wife tell you, listen, you got the show tonight. Run them damn dishes before the show starts. Guess what you better do? You better run them damn dishes for the show starts, because if they dirty tomorrow morning, guess who it's going to be on? It's going to be on you. And, man, listen, you want to have an easy day, you want to have a hard day, right? Got to do the little things right. There's a little bit of free game for y'all married fellas.
No. And speaking of it, the Bucks did, the way they won this basketball game was doing the little things. They did the little things. Shout out to Travis. Shout out to Travis right here. Says, "Let's celebrate players that excel when the pressure's on. BP put off a show, 28 points off the bench. That's better than Giannis dropping 50. Shout out. That's a big super chat, Travis. We appreciate it from the Cream City.
Pat Bev is another one.
Yeah.
Pat Bev is another one.
Little things, yeah.
Yeah, no, they got down and dirty tonight, and it wasn't pretty at times. Like I said, they got sloppy in the second quarter. Beasley knocked a couple balls off of his knees and in transition, and it was just they were rushing at the rim when they would get a good stop, but ultimately, like I said, that defense just paid off. It paid dividends. This is a team who, coming into this game, had, 4 straight games of holding teams under 100? They almost did it tonight, too. It's a newly improved team, newly improved defense. And I also think if you don't have Doc tonight, if this is still an Adrian Griffin-led team, I think that they waver. I think that they allow this to get out of hand. So that's what you love to see from the effort level as well.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, the effort's 100% there. VB Sleek on the chat says, Dame, I think he's saying Dame. Damn fan here. I think he's saying Dame. Dame fan here, but do y'all think they win this game with, I think he's saying Drew. No, I didn't have to get like, no, not a chance.
No, sir.
Not a chance.
No, sir. You know why? Because I've been waiting to say this. Y'all know why? Because the best defense is what? Another made three-point. And that's what that is, right? Because, again, remember, you can win a championship with an elite offense, an elite offensive talent, and mediocre or to above average defense. It's very tough to win a championship with great defense and an average offense. In today's game, you have to be able to score points. You have to be able to get buckets. Now, having a guy like Pat Beverly, to be honest, a lot of the reason why we won this game tonight, I feel like it's Pat Beverly too, right? Because I know Dame showed up and Bobby showed up. But it's really Pat Beverly when Pat Beverly showed up and when Pat Beverly was having his biggest moments. His performance in that fourth quarter, momentum changing from tying the three to making a steal for the go-ahead and for this team to take the lead and all of a sudden everything completely changing. You got to give credit to that, man. And that's John Horst. I mean, if I had a game ball tonight, my game ball obviously tonight's going to Doc Rivers, but
we
will
get to the game balls that you can hand out as many as you like. Mono Lando says Kawhi only scored 2 points with Dame guarding him in the fourth. We obviously have a Miami Heat hater in the chat too, or Miami Heat backer in the chat. Josh Hyatt, who says this is why I can get bodied by the Heat in the playoffs again. We'll address that later. I'm not even gonna get into
this.
I'm not getting into
Are the Heat even going to make the playoffs?
Well, yeah, Heat are like fourth in the East right now, but they've had a they've played better as of late. But we'll address the Heat maybe in a little bit too. I want to get through some comments here. Neek Meek says church. Shahef says beat belts to ass tour. Snakey973 says yeah Bucks. Taylor Thompson says this is a good team. No Giannis, no problem. KNA family says what a freaking win. All good things to say, except I don't want to see Pat C on the floor again. And then KNA family says where's the Bobby Portis? Apologize for him again. I will do it as long as you have one of the boxes needs to be he did not play well. That like all the boxes on that form are like things other than Bobby Portis was not good. And so if you have that box for me to check, I'll check that box and then fill out the apology form. And then John Hassel says AJ Green, gotta love it. Dell Evan King says I missed the fourth quarter because I was driving to work in heavy rain. Thank God, great win. And then King of Kings says it's finally Dame time. Again, man, this was just it was just a great. You can't be more excited about this win, man. Shorthanded, doing what they needed to do. There's one more comment, and then let's get to this to the next piece of our agenda here, where we say, let me see where it was. I lost it. Yeah, I lost it. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about Damian Lillard and Bobby Portis, right? Dame and Bobby, especially in that fourth, well, throughout the game, Damian Lillard, but Bobby Portis as well. And we talked about this a little bit before we got on air, fellas, that and I'm not sure if anybody knows how many, somebody in the chat, let me know how many points Damian Lillard scored in the fourth quarter. I'm not sure. But it's funny because we've had videos before and we've talked before about Damian Lillard, right? And about one of the things people, and one of our criticisms of Dame has been, his shooting and scoring. And we've had people come in here and say, well, he's providing gravity and he's not allowed. He's that's what he's doing. And we've kind of shot, well, at least I've kind of shot some of that down with, okay, yeah, but he's here to score. And again, that still remains true because gravity without 41 points is not. So again, that's what I mean when people talk about the gravity. The gravity's cool. I also want 40 with it. Like, that's cool. And so in the fourth quarter, what you saw, one of the reasons Bobby Portis, I think you said he had 14 in the fourth. Bobby Portis was able to have so much room to operate because it wasn't just a double team that was coming. Like Giannis sometimes gets doubled, but Giannis gets doubled on the block or on the wing or on the elbow. And again, does it create space and opportunity? Yes, but it's different. There is a difference when as soon as you step across the half court line, a double team comes and you're able to get the ball, rid of the ball, and you're playing 4-on-3. At this point, the Milwaukee Bucks played 8-9 minutes of the fourth quarter, 4-on-3 with two guys up top at half court with Damian Lillard and the rest of the team down there. And there was just so much room to operate. So, and Damian Lillard did a great job. He was not selfish. He passed the ball and got rid of it. And again, but at the end of the day, the role players had to make plays. And Bobby Portis was one of those guys who made the plays. Again, when, like I said, once that they call it Big Mo, once Big Mo hits and guys start hitting shots, it becomes unconscious. And you see it over and over again. And again, it was a beautiful thing to see. When Dame was able to get the ball up, the Bucks basically playing 4-on-3 on the backside here. And again, guys just making shots, timely buckets, keeping the LA Clippers at bay.
I can't disagree with you. The last, I'd say 2 minutes of that third quarter and this fourth quarter, man, that's some of the best Bucks like team basketball I think we've seen all year. And oh man, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words, and I'm feeling great. I'm feeling really. I'm not even drinking tonight, by the way. I should be popping a bottle, but yeah, this was.
Hey, look, six in a row now, and this is what we wanted to see. We wanted to see them come out of All-Star break firing on all cylinders, and you have had games in the first part of the season where you're making excuses about injuries, you're making excuses about back-to-backs, but this is a season-changing type win because you didn't have your guys and you still found a way to beat a great team. And I really do think that this is why I'm dressed as Bobby Portis, right? This is why I'm crazy eyes right now. I think he's coming into his own player. I really do. I think that before it wasn't really a take over a game type guy off the bench. He was kind of he was a role guy, and he's been a role guy career and Bucks career. But now I think you really have a weapon in Bobby Portis. If he stays this consistent, look, he's been great past All-Star break. If he stays this consistent, he's going to be great for us. We're going to need him in the playoffs. I know previously, in the finals run, he didn't really get much run, but I just don't see a situation where you're not going to have him out there if he's providing this consistent scoring punch. And not only the scoring punch, his rebounding is very underrated because you have Brook out there sometimes that's not rebounding the ball, trying to box out the bigger centers, and you have Bobby in there being aggressive, doing the dirty work like we said, and I love it. And then just the awareness from Dame to get him the ball, know that Bobby had the hot hand, and create space for Bobby to work on the block against basically mismatches. So just love what I saw from both of those guys.
Shout out to 78 Sports TV with the super chat as well. It says, best win of the year, in my opinion. Let's go, Bucks. Pat Bev energy is crazy. Pat Bev energy was crazy. So again, we appreciate everybody with the super chats. Appreciate everybody tuning in and chatting with us right now at the Cream City crossover after a big 113-106 victory. Doughboy says Bobby Portis' 10th double-double of the season, 6th man of the year. Let's throw that out to the guys. Bobby Portis, 6th man of the year consideration. Again, we've already talked about whether or not Doc Rivers should be in coach of the year consideration. And this win clearly puts him into, will just adds to that list, that checklist. Bobby Portis, 6th man of the year consideration. What do you guys think?
So I think you certainly have an argument for sure, especially if this team keeps winning past All-Star break. I know you probably don't catch the Celtics at the 1 seed, but if you lock in that 2 seed, then there's a real argument there. Look, I haven't really been paying attention to the 6 men around the league, so I would be lying if I said I was. But I do know what Bobby provides on a nightly basis and what he's provided since All-Star break. If this thing keeps up, I think he certainly has a huge argument on one of the best teams in the league, but not only that, on one of the best teams in terms of personnel. So if he's giving you what he's been giving you on a consistent basis and they keep winning games, there's definitely an argument. I think he should definitely win it.
What I do wonder with the voters is what role does adversity play in this award, right? Because one thing about Giannis, Dame, anybody who is in position to get any kind of postseason hardware, I would certainly argue that what this team has been through with the changing of the coaches midseason and going through that, right, and guys in the lineup and having guys missing, you 100% would have to give them credit for that. For Bobby Portis, he keeps this thing up, right, and continues to be a key part of this team's, I guess, turnaround, so to speak, under Doc, and continues to elevate this team. Hell yeah, you got to give him consideration for it, right? I think right now it's Malik Monk and Norm Powell. I think are a few of the names being floated out there, but the reality of it is I think Bobby's, first off, I think the Bucks are going to finish much higher than either one of those teams, and I certainly think that Bobby's contributions are palpable. I certainly hope voters are watching because, yeah, why don't you throw him out there with it, right? Like, what's it? I think I saw it's Norm Powell, Malik Monk, Karis LeVert are some of the favorites, but why are you not throwing Bobby Portis out there, especially if they keep this winning streak going?
Just going through some of the 6th man of the year odds as of last week. Malik Monk is the heavy runaway favorite right now. Norm Powell behind him, Tim Hardaway Jr., Karis LeVert, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Naz Reid, Russell Westbrook, who just broke his hand, Benedict Mathurin, Jordan Clarkson, and then Bobby Portis round out the top 10.
Well, listen, if that was as of last week, that's great. But I don't know if y'all know. I don't know if they know or not. But this week, this week, this Bucks team is rolling. I expect Bobby to be making his climb, making his ascent. And man, I can't talk about how. I just can't stress how nice it is as a Bucks team to have a luxury of offensive riches, if that makes sense, right? Because these guys, you have guys on this team that can get buckets. We've said it all year. You got guys on this team that can get buckets. Defense has been a little shaky at times, but when you have this kind of offensive firepower and you have a coach that has found a way to inspire these guys, right? Because that's what I think Doc has made some adjustments too, but we're also seeing guys play harder, right? So he's found a way to inspire these guys because, again, what Doc has not done is manufacture talent. He hasn't manufactured talent in 3 weeks, right? In 4 weeks. You can't do that, right? So we can't say Doc's done that. Doc's created more talent for this player. He's made this guy a more talented player. No, right? And again, you really can't argue that in a month the guys help with skills like that because they haven't even been able to practice that much, right?
Nope.
But what he has done schematically and inspiration, right? Firing guys up and letting guys and again, it's like the Deion Sanders thing. You got to believe, right? You got Malik Beasley feeling like, hey, wait a minute. I was getting trashed for being a defender, but I can make a play. Mm-hmm. You got Damian Lillard, the same thing. Oh, they was telling me that guards was having career days on me because they was dumping on my head the whole time. But you know what? I can make a play. I can make a key stop. Put that on me, coach. I got you, right? You got Pat Beverly out there cheering his guys on, calling out things, being the brains of everybody out there defensively, setting guys up, motivating guys, firing guys up. And all of a sudden you see players who haven't done stuff all year doing new things now. You seeing guys where you're like, man, we was worried when Malik Beasley was on TV. We was, oh boy, Malik Beasley and Dame, here we go. They coming on our head. they banging on our heads with it, right? They literally, right? Yeah. You see it.
Right, but what Doc has also done is that he's went one by one. I've always talked about this, but he went one by one and made sure that these guys weren't having free reign offensively. And I think that's why you see a big difference in what Bobby Portis has done past the All-Star break, because we did talk about the black hole Bobby. We did talk about how he can get the ball sometimes and throw up some BS. Now it seems like those shot attempts are a lot higher quality. So, yeah, I think you get the buy-in, but you also inspire this team. You also get into them, and look, now you're 6-0 past the All-Star break.
Yeah, again, you're playing well. There's no doubt about it. Listen, you have to give credit where it's due. Like I said, to a Bobby Portis, to even a Pat Bev, and you're right, John. When I think about it, when I think about Doc Rivers, I'm thinking about, you said schematically, inspiration. I'm thinking about the buy-in. And we talk about that from the beginning. When guys buy into certain situations, when they want to play, you get a different energy, you get a different mindset. And right now the Bucks are getting different results. Yeah, you talk about this offense. I look to to me, the change has been on the defensive end, where you're just not, again, 106 to a Clippers team that has firepower all over it. That's not bad, because again, on there are a lot of nights where 113. There were a lot of nights where 113 does not get you a win. With the older iteration of this basketball team, 113 was not going to be enough. You needed to get into the 120s and 130s to win basketball games, and so that's where I'm seeing the biggest difference, the biggest impact. And then, like I said, those key timely buckets, like an AJ Green, like a Malik Beasley hitting that shot, like a Pat Bev with a three, even a Danilo Gallinari with the tip slam coming in, and then Dame just did his thing all night long. So again, a beautiful win for the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. They finished this off 113, 106 over the Clippers. Mustaf Hassan says, y'all forget who Dame Lillard is? I'm a Portland fan. I F with the Bucks though, and I want to see Dame win. He does his shit night in, night out. You give him the ball, he will win you games. One question I want to get to before I go to Twitter and some game balls. I want to ask you this, because we've talked about this before. Like, again, is this Dame Lillard? Is this new kind of Dame Lillard that we've seen who's played a little bit better post All-Star break? Is this just the Dame that we're going to get? Is this a beneficiary of? And again, I would think tonight was a beneficiary of no Giannis, right? Like, he took 22. What would you say? Took 22 shots, but he got 13 free throw attempts. So if he got 13 free throw attempts, that means you would have added on another 5 or 6 shots onto that to get to the 13 attempts. So really, he took about 28 shots. You're not going to get you can get close to 28 with Giannis, but so we know some of those shots go down with Giannis. But when Chris Middleton is inserted back in the team, and I see Titonia World is jumping in, talking about what's going to happen when Chris comes back, and I think it's a valid question. We've asked this kind of before, but do you guys think that Chris Middleton, again, we have to talk about Christian. We talked about it tonight on Bucks and 60, just the injury and what this is going to look like, because you've seen a basketball team now that looks different, that looks like they've propelled themselves. Chris Middleton has not been a part of any of that. Like Chris Middleton was lost. He hurt his ankle on the during the West Coast trip that Doc went 1-5 on that trip or whatever. So can Chris Middleton be inserted back into this thing and it continue to go full tilt? Because again, this is a different team than when Chris Middleton was on it and they were winning games in a different kind of way. This team looks much different than that.
Well, Chris ain't been here for the belt to ass to him. That's the thing, right? Chris ain't been here for that, right? He just hasn't, right? And at the end of the day, I think that this team, whatever's happening, it seems like they have each other's backs. It seems like there's chemistry here. Now, I think that Chris could replace Crowder in the lineup, but I don't want to see that happen immediately, right, in that starting lineup. I think what you should do is bring Chris off the bench for a little while. Definitely let him run with the twos. Let him come in and just be a bucket. And schematically, I think you can make that work. He does bolster that second team, right? Now, eventually, once he gets his legs under him, if it warrants putting him back in the starting lineup, fine. But I don't think you disrupt what you've got at this point. And I understand how disrespectful Chris may feel, or how disrespected Chris may feel if he comes off the bench, right? Klay Thompson did it. And that has nothing to do with Chris Middleton, but I'm saying that, like, listen, this isn't unheard of, and Klay Thompson's one of your best shooters of all time, right? He's done this, right? So we can't say, oh my gosh, this is unfathomable, right? Because that's not the case.
Well, so this is where I'm at with the whole Chris and obviously implementing Giannis back when he's just healthy, but I don't think that there will be a problem with bringing him back because nothing's stopping this team right now. The effort, the energy, the defense, and you add Chris Middleton into that fold, no matter how many minutes you're playing him, I think that this team could really use him. Look, the second unit tonight, there's some gaping holes in there, and you can start to decrease the minutes in a Danilo Gallinari, in guys like Pat Connaughton if they don't have it. Give A.J. Green more minutes, but you still have that option to bring Chris in and kind of ramp him up through that, and I think that that'll be huge. I think that he'll bring a lot, especially just having another guy who can knock down shots. This team could be really, really dangerous. Like, this team is already great, and we didn't have Chris Middleton. Imagine him back in the lineup, but make sure this thing is clicking, and it's going to be scary. They're going to be a tough out regardless.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. I think everybody, sees that they're going to be a tough out. You're going to have some of that. I don't know where you come back with Chris Middleton. I think it's going to be – I think it's just hard to tell him he's in a bench role. I think – but to your point, though, JT, when you say, well, you don't bring Chris Middleton back or you want to limit his minutes when he comes back, how many games are left? What, 20, 22, 23 games? You don't have a lot of time before you get to the postseason. And my thing is, if you're going to go to the postseason and you're going to expect Chris Middleton to play with Giannis and to play with Dame in extended minutes throughout, would you agree that they need to be on the court for as many minutes as possible to get that chemistry down so that they know? Because again, one of the issues was Chris Middleton's bringing it up. People talk about Dame standing in the corner. Like, do they need to have, like I said, it sounds like Doc Rivers went one by one. Did Doc Rivers do the one by one with Chris and say, hey, you're in the corner and Dame is bringing it up and we'll figure out how to get you involved when it's time to get you involved? Like, is that what's going to happen? And if so, like, we need to see that in action, because again, it can't be that they only played 15, 20 minutes and then now it's round one of the playoffs. And again, round one, I'm just going to pull it up. Let's see who it is right now in the 7th spot, because right now the Bucks are in 2.
Miami, by the way.
It's Miami. So they are now right. So Miami, I thought they were a couple days ago. So Miami is a game and a half out of 4th, but they're in the 7th seed right now. John Scheinert. Oh, that's why Josh Scheinert is in the chat talking so crazy, because he's afraid. He's afraid because he saw the Milwaukee Bucks now the 2 seed. He sees Miami slip back to the 7th seed, and now he's bringing out his insecurities in his Cream City crossover chat. So I see you, Josh. I know you're scared, and I know it's gonna feel bad when Doc Rivers is over there out coaching Eric Spoelstra, and we have to knock you down a pedestal, and they're talking about Bucks culture instead of Heat culture. But that's another story for a different day. Listen, and that's the thing. We just bring Pat Bev on the team. We just bring Bobby Portis and show you what we do. We don't have to write it on our jersey. Heat culture. We got to write it on the court. Heat culture. We don't have to do that mess. We just show you. Bobby Portis is gonna pop somebody in the face. That's just what's gonna happen. We got to write it down. We're gonna show. I can show you better than I can tell you. But in all seriousness, though, JT, what I'm asking is, when you get to this point and you're in the playoffs, and round one, as of right now, is Milwaukee, Miami. You can't tell me then that I got to go 40 minutes with Chris, Giannis, Dame, and they haven't done it to any extent in the regular season under this new iteration of this basketball team.
Well, right, but here's the thing. With Chris missing time, here's the other thing, right? What happens to injury-prone players? They keep getting injured. So at some point, you have to say, listen, I had this vision of Chris, Giannis, and Dame being, the three wise men, right? Or the three musketeers or whatever it is, a trio, the power trio. All right, I lost my, you know what I'm talking about, man. Anyway, right, I had this vision of these guys being this, right? And at the end of the day, injuries, it stopped that, right? It precluded us from being able to do that with them, right? But I have this squad that's a bunch of dogs, and I have this, and this. So you know what? Get in where you fit in, my guy, because here's the thing. What you don't want to do is force it, right? Let's say you force it. You throw Chris in the starting lineup, and you make him play 30 minutes coming off an injury right away, right? And you force it. And then Chris got another – now he out. Now he out, right? So now, okay, well, Chris is going to be out this game in the playoff series. Chris has this ailing issue. Chris has that. Listen, man, like if all Chris has in the tank, and again, I think he's at his third lowest minutes of his career, right? He's averaging right around 26.3 minutes a game. If all Chris has in him is 20 minutes, right? Fine. If all Chris has is 25 minutes, then you got to take that for what it's worth. Hey, listen, man, this is what you got. Here's what we're going to do. And this is where Doc earns his paycheck, right? There's your sharpshooter. There's your horse. I'm not going to expect him to do anything on defense because I'm just going to tell you right now, all the yelling, all the fire up, all the energy and all the hype, that's not going to loosen them ankles. That ain't going to loosen them hips. That man has been a cone for the most part that we've seen this year, right? And
I disagree.
Defensively?
I would say in the first I would say those first 25, 30 games, yes, I thought he started to pick it up a little bit.
And then what happened? Another injury that helped. Another injury that attacks ankle, knee, hip, mobility, and explosion and power.
But that injury was a freak. That wasn't like he was playing and just this injury that just accumulated over time. That was the who did it? Anderson Varejao when he slid under Kawhi.
And I feel it. I wholeheartedly feel it. But again, right? This is another right on the vehicle history report. Here we go. This is something else that's going to impact that. It's going to impact this explosion to play, right? All I'm saying is I don't think you necessarily have to force it with Chris. I think you bring him along. Why not give him a couple games? Let's see him run it with the second unit. Maybe he likes it. Maybe Chris is like, yo, this is dope. I'm feeling this, right? And yes, ideally you would have Chris out there running with Giannis and Dame. But I just think that forcing that vision, if it's not actually feasible based on health, why? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, you good,
Chris? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, just based off of the Heat and Bucks thing. Look, this is a totally different team from what we saw when we took the butt whipping versus the Heat, but we also won games versus the Heat under Adrian Griffin. So right now, you asked me a couple months ago, I think, when the Bucks were at its all-time low. I think maybe when they lost to the Grizzlies right before All-Star break. You said we went through each potential playoff matchup, and I wasn't very confident. But now, after watching this team, look, I think we could beat anybody. So let the bottom of the standings shake out. We're not looking down at that. We're focused on just locking in the second seed. So let that happen. Let that play out, and whoever we get is whoever we get. It's the same mentality they used in the finals run where they purposely won the regular season game to get the Heat, and we swept them. So that's what I'm saying.
And again, the Heat are in the 7th spot. Let's not act like they're not getting close to playing territory.
That is playing territory.
Right. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yep.
I mean. So no, 100%. And go back on the Chris thing really quickly. I guess my only issue is that what you're going to do in the playoffs? Because I get it, 15, 20 minutes here and there. But what you can't do is in the playoffs try to replicate something that you haven't done in the regular season. I think that's when you can get into some issues. But again, we'll see how Doc Rivers, how the training staff wants to bring him along. Go ahead.
But let me ask you this question, right? If we haven't been able to make this thing work all season, right? And let's say Chris comes back and there are we've played 62 games at this point? If there's 20 games left, and Chris comes back, because we're 41 and 21, right? So 62. If Chris comes back, let's say Chris comes back and there's 15 games left, right? Is it reasonable to think they're going to figure this thing out? Giannis and Chris going to come up with all this synergy and everything in 15 games before and under Doc, right? Because, again, you have a new coaching staff, so things have changed. Is it feasible to think that this thing is going to, we can force this thing together in 15 games under Doc in the first place?
That's what you just, if you want to go there, that's what you've just seen from this basketball team. You just saw this team. They look like a completely different team. Doc is now 9-7. So in 16 games, this team in general looks completely different than the team Doc Rivers took over. And I hear what you're saying. My question is, okay, so you're telling me in the playoffs, you are going to have to figure this thing out. Like, I don't see a scenario where end of games situations happen and Chris Middleton's on the bench. Like, in the end of games, Chris Middleton's going to be out there with Giannis and Dame. That's going to happen. And what I'm saying is they're going to need those reps. I don't know. I'd rather have them have the reps now versus we get to the playoffs and Dame, Giannis, and Chris looking at each other like, oh, who's supposed to have the ball? Remember, was that under Adrian Griffin where Giannis was like, oh, I'm going to drop a play for Chris Middleton? like AG was going to, not what I think about now, it just seems crazy, but like AG was about to drop a play for Dame, and Giannis was like, nah, we got to get this to Chris. And And it worked. It worked that game, but I mean, that's just, Doc Rivers is not going to let his team happen like that. It clearly is not going to happen like that.
Ideally, I think you're right. I think you do find a way to get Chris in there, but I still just don't feel like you have to force it. And here's again, this may be controversial, but depending on our first round draw, hey, maybe you are still figuring this thing out in that first round. It's still testing some, still doing some different things, especially if it's not going to be a formidable opponent that we're seeing in that first round. If we're like, listen, it's probably going to go 4-1 anyway. Maybe you're still taking around some things in that first round.
I don't know. I would say the Bucks at this point, you can't, because of the playoff failures that we've seen from Milwaukee. I don't know that you can take that mentality anymore. You got to go out and beat everybody that's going to come in front of you. Whether it's Indiana. Now, should you go beat Indiana 4-1? Should you beat 2-7? Yeah, but I just saw the Bucks lose 1-8 and I thought the same thing about the Heat last year when even with Giannis being hurt, I was like, hey, this is nothing. And then next thing you know, Jimmy Butler's going 50 over Drew Holiday's head. So, okay, let's read some comments here from the Twitter, and then we'll go to some game balls. Kashia Taj says, let's effing go. Win streak ain't no fluke. We're playing high-level basketball, beating quality teams, peaking at the right time. Remember, again, this is what we talked about, John and Chris, like peaking at the right time is a thing, and we talked about it after All-Star break. This is what we wanted to see, so it's good. Jake_Nelson10 says, AJ Green has cemented himself in the rotation and as a positive contributor on both ends of the court. Malik Beasley, despite a rough shooting night, his 3 at the end of the third quarter to cut the lead to 8 was a huge play in this game. Being down 8 versus being down 11 is a big shift. I agree with that. Bucks Enjoyer 999 says, AJ Green more minutes than Pat and Crowder. Just making a note of that. Big four F and 5 says the effort on D is about 4 notches up from what it was. Plus the Pat Bev factor, it's PJ all over again. Travis King says if Chris King doesn't show his tribute to Bobby Portis, it's a damn shame. Chris recognized this man's game 3 years ago. So there we go there. At Gabrielle Foster says, yeah, the Bucks did that without Giannis. And I'll read a couple more. At Saint of Freak says, Belt to Ass tour continues. And then Eagle Rugby 58 says, unbelievable game. Dame was Dame. Bobby was huge. Pat Bev bringing the dog mentality back. Whatever Doc is selling, this team is buying. One of the most fun games I've watched all season. Keep the momentum up out west. And absolutely, the Bucks are going to have to keep that momentum up when they go to the West Coast. Let's do some game balls. So you got for game balls? Let you guys start it off.
Man, you know what? Tonight, the first game ball I'm going to get is I'm going to get this thing to Doc Rivers. I'm going to give this thing to Doc Rivers tonight because you saw your most consistent player. You saw your MVP candidate go down, and you didn't even have time to really switch up the game plan. And so you had to get in that huddle. You had to look everybody in the eye and say, all right, guys, listen, it's time to do our jobs. This is what we're going to do. Remember when I went down the line and told everybody what they're going to do? We need to see this thing tonight, right? And you had players, right? You had guys like Bobby Portis dig deep. He dug deep into his bag, right? You had Patrick Beverly. You said, all right, Pat B, listen, I know we're not really lauding you for offense or anything. I know you had a big night the other night against Chicago. I need another one from you. And he did it, and he showed up. You said, all right, Derry Bird, look here. Hey, when we call your number, I need you to let that thing go. And you did, right? And you saw this team come in against a Clippers team that they were technically, right, on paper, probably overmatched against without Giannis. And you saw them come in and say, we're not going to stop fighting. We're going to keep chopping. We're going to keep chopping wood, right? And every quarter, every play, we're going to get 1% better. And, man, listen, that man, Doc, delivered tonight. He got me believing. If Doc sold a Believe T-shirt, I put my order in.
Hey, give it to me one time. Bobby. Yeah, I'm giving it to Crazy Eyes, man. He was great. Just consistent past the All-Star break. He's really imposing his will on guys that just can't guard him. I love it. We've seen him take advantage of mismatches in the Charlotte series when we played them back-to-back. And he's doing it against even better players, better bigs. He was cooking Tice. He was cooking Zubats. He was cooking Kawhi. He was cooking everybody on the Clippers that they had go one-on-one with him. And I think he's a real threat to other opposing teams because he's just such a mismatch problem.
Okay, yes, man, great. Obviously, great additions. Going Doc Rivers there, going Bobby Portis. I got to go Damian Lillard. The guy gave me 41 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Got 1 steal in there as well. 12 for 22, 4 9 from 3, 13 and 13 from the line. 3 turnovers. Again, Bobby Portis was great throughout the entire game. Kept the Bucks in it just long enough for the reinforcements to come in and give him some help. So again, I'm gonna give my game ball tonight to the one, to the only Damian Lillard, who played like Dame. He's been having this commercial. He has that commercial where, where it's like, the Gatorade commercial where the guys, do you got a guy that doesn't show up in the clutch? And Damian Lillard has been that guy for most of the year who has not shown up. Tonight he showed up in a big way. So I'm going to give Damian Lillard my game ball. Let's do a look around right now at the league. Of course, the Bucks win 113-106 over the LA Clippers. The Kings are up over the Bulls right now, headed into the fourth quarter, 91-77. Lakers and Thunder are going on NBA TV. Lakers making a run. They're up 52-43. The Grizzlies beat the Nets. The Timberwolves beat the Trailblazers. And the Utah Jazz beat the Washington Wizards tonight. Jordan Poole's looked better, much better as of late. Want to ask you guys, as we check in on some other things, about Gilbert Arenas, who has, obviously the NBA is undergoing a scoring inflation. Teams are averaging 115 points per game this year compared to just 96 in the 2011 season. Most critics blame load management and the lack of consequences in regular season basketball for the waning effort players show on defense. However, former NBA guard Gilbert Arenas was more specific in his blame. According to Gilbert Arenas, European players are at fault for the negative trend. He says, I know what they can do to stop. He said, I know what they can do to stop all the scoring. Get rid of all the Europeans. You go to college and learn defense. What college do Europeans go to? They don't go to college whatsoever. They have no athleticism. They have no speed. They have no jumping ability. They are a liability on defense. Yeah, so again, that is what Gilbert said. Gilbert also talked about the Europeans and how the NBA has opened up the game for him. He's called them soft. I'll start on this. Gilbert, he's always hated, and for whatever reason, he has this issue with Europeans. First off, Gilbert Arenas, again, I remember, I'm old enough. I watched Gilbert Arenas play. I don't remember him being known for his defensive prowess. So, you talk about guys not playing defense. Gilbert Arenas was one of those players. Again, you talk about a guy who would benefit of playing in this era of the NBA. Gilbert Arenas was one of those guys because, again, he would definitely benefit when you say the game opens up. And then when you talk about the toughness of Europeans, like hasn't Giannis won a couple of defensive player of the years? How do you say he's not a big time defensive player? How do you say guys like Nikola Jokic are soft? How do you say guys a European says no athleticism? Again, that's who you're talking about. What go ahead.
What's he but what's he really talking about?
Well, so you're saying he's talking about guys like Joker. He's talking about probably like Luka. He's talking about
right.
Mm-hmm. He's talking about white Europeans. That's not what he said. But
that ain't what he don't take the genius to figure out that's where he's going.
But even those guys isn't Jokic. I wouldn't consider Jokic soft. I wouldn't consider Jokic soft at all.
No, I don't think Buddy from Phoenix is either. the other
Nurk.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's soft either, right?
He did let Draymond smack him in the face.
I mean, right, but he's got some different film where he getting at people. Yeah. I mean, listen, right? Draymond's crazy. He might be like, man, I don't know what this dude tripping right now. I don't even know, right? But anyway, right? The thing is that, listen, man, I get where Gilbert's coming from, and he can talk about from an athleticism perspective, right? Because what he's saying is such and such from Detroit, Philly, Cali, wherever, will get him work when it comes to athleticism, right? The things that they can do. I hear what he's saying. But again, this is the issue. And yeah, I'll admit the reason why I've only been invested in it is because I am a Giannis fan and we have a European guy on our team, right? If I was with, if I was a fan of another team instead of, right, I probably wouldn't have the sensitivity to these comments, right? But I think that the issue I have a bit with Gilbert's comments, though, is that he's missing one thing here. You can talk about talent, toughness, and all this other stuff, right? But what you're forgetting is what they do have is skill, right? And that is extremely important. Them European dudes come over here and they do things. I think their development, right, is part of which is how they run things, right? When he's 16 in Europe, you're playing with grown men, right? You're playing with this. And so I think they just develop different skills that allow them to adapt to the NBA game a lot quicker and a lot better, at least offensively, right? And even defensively too. I think Gilbert's kind of fudging it here. I think these comments are a bit off base, but somebody, it might even been your boy Paul. Somebody tried to call him a xenophobe, right? And I feel like I don't like classifying it that because we're talking about basketball here, right? And I think that like xenophobia is a much more serious issue than talking about basketball, right? So I don't like going there with it. But I got to say that Gilbert's slip is showing at this point, right? Because you can see there's a clear-cut bias towards European players, and I think he's willing to reach in his analysis to try to prove his points.
So I just think this is wrong in general because I do think that the game has just evolved in the sense that mid-range shots are not high quality anymore. People aren't settling for as many twos as they normally were back in his era. I think a lot more threes are going up, and I think a lot more threes are going down. Look, I think this is just the way basketball is going in the direction that it's going in. It's at an all-time high in college, too. These kids aren't looking like amateurs anymore. These kids can knock down shots. And when you get to the NBA and you have so much space, it's only going to go up. There's a reason why, obviously the shot clock and the game times aren't as long, but there's a reason that only the top scorers in college basketball get barely over 25 because there's not as much spacing. So I think that's where he got it wrong. In terms of just the European ball, I think it is a little skewed because they do have the 3 and the key thing and then the FIBA goaltend thing. So it is easy to kind of use that as a cop-out to say that their defense is tougher. I don't know, man. I just think that he got it wrong in general. I think it's the shot making, and I think that it's obviously people taking less mid-range twos.
So I think, I just think Gilbert's just got to be, I don't know if he's doing it for clicks, if he's trying, I don't know, maybe that's part of it. I don't know, maybe Gilbert's just like that. I don't know what kind of guy he is, but I don't think it's point is, I don't think it's a good look. The kinds of things he's saying and classifying an entire group of people as one thing or another. Again, you just got to be, if you want to call certain guys out, call certain guys out. But again, I know plenty of Americans don't play defense either. Like they don't like.
Well, listen. If we're gonna talk about if we're gonna talk about the death of defense in the NBA, can we start with blaming AAU? AAU, right? Because that's what everybody's coming at. But in America, you're playing AAU ball. That's what at one point AAU was for like the best of the best. Right now, AAU is everything. And who the hell on AAU is playing defense? It just doesn't happen. Right?
I remember that game where LaMelo Ball went up, had like 90 points or whatever it was. I was watching it. He was just cherry picking the whole time. I was like, what is this?
Yes, because basketball now is about getting buckets. Yeah. Nobody plays any defense, but kids don't play defense from a young age, right? So if you look at it from a developmental perspective, you're not playing defense in high school. You're not playing defense in college, right? You're not playing defense at AAU. You get to college, a coach may say play defense, and players are like, man, I am not about to mess up my draft stock by wearing myself out. Listen, I need to get these buckets and go ahead and get this thing right. Like there's a bigger issue here, and that's something that Gilbert is certainly ignoring when it comes to American players in defense.
Yeah. So anyway, Gilbert's an interesting guy. I can't call it.
Entertaining.
Um,
You know he's Arizona finest, so I can't
Arizona
completely
guy.
go against him, even though you know.
The Bucks win it tonight, 113-106. You guys got any final words you want to give us for the Bucks getting a dub over the Clippers? Oh, there was one before I get to that. I did want to talk. So again, this week we have coming up don't know if John will be with us. Bucks Warriors at 10 Eastern
Bedtime.
Wednesday
I'm
night.
not. Nope.
Wednesday night Bucks Warriors, and then Friday night Bucks Lakers. What do you think? So the Bucks get a win over the Clippers tonight. You start your West Coast trip against the Warriors and the Lakers. We talked about this a little bit on Bucks and 60 JT. Like if Giannis is there, this impacts things. You know, the impact's a little bit different. I'm hoping that it's going to be a short-term injury for Giannis. This is just really more precautionary than it is, you know, an actual problem for him. But what are you expecting on this West Coast road trip? The Bucks start off 1-0 on it. It's a 5-game swing. You have Warriors, Lakers, Clippers on Sunday, Kings on Tuesday. So you have 4 games left. You start off 1-0. What are you expecting? What's a good trip for the Bucks?
Well, listen, one thing I want to go ahead and stress here, though. If Giannis has Achilles tendonitis, you don't play with that. You 100% don't play with that. That thing tearing up, right? Because at some point, I think it can impact the tendons, and you get a ruptured Achilles. That's not good, right? That's not good for a career. That's certainly a problem for this season too. So you do not want to play with that. If that Achilles isn't right, I say the Bucks rest him. Give these other guys a chance to step up and play, right? Give John Horst, the roster John Horst has put together, give it a chance to shine here, right? If Giannis listen, if that thing isn't, if he needs to miss the next couple of games, I am 100% fine with that, because you do not want to play with tendonitis, and he end up. The last thing you want is for Giannis to pop an Achilles, because you're not only done this year, but you're likely done next year, and then you got to ask questions about if that explosion or whatever, if that ever returns, because some guys they're just not the same after that. So you certainly don't want to play with that. Side note: didn't Brandon Jennings tear an Achilles?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. That's right. Okay, I was going to say I knew there was a famous Bucks player that had torn an Achilles, and it was devastating. Brandon Jennings, and maybe I don't know if he was with the Bucks when he did it, but I remember that he definitely tore his Achilles. Anyway, now provided that Giannis plays, I think if Giannis plays, I think Wednesday night is a dub. I really do. I think the Bucks can beat the Warriors. I 1,000% think that can happen. I think the Bucks can beat the Lakers too. Right now. Tough to beat the Clippers again, so I think he probably would drop one of either the Clippers or the Kings. If I'm not expecting this team to go. I'm expecting this team to drop one game if Giannis plays. If Giannis doesn't play, then I think splitting. Maybe you go 2-2 from here on out.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway from the whole Giannis situation is that he wants to play. He wants to be out there. So it is concerning a little bit when you see the pregame workout video and when he doesn't play. But at this point, you got to take care of him. You definitely got to rest him if it's not, full go. And I think the Bucks training staff, they'll have him in their best hands. So I think it'll be all right. And, going on the road, I watched the Nuggets and the Lakers Saturday? Mm-hmm. And man, the Lakers they're not it, man. They don't have another guy. They need another guy. It seems like they don't get the consistency they need from Reeves and other guys like that. Cam Reddish is bad, and they play him a boatload of minutes. So I think that's the game that you're looking at to really get the win. But if I was thinking about dropping one, I do think the Warriors might be able to get us, especially even though they just got blown out by the Celtics. I just think that going out west, the first game, that'll be tough. Their fans are always going to support, so it may be that one if we drop any of them, because I do think you kind of alphaed the Clippers tonight. You did, because you didn't have Giannis, and you went out there and still found a way to win. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the West Coast trip. It can't end like how last one went. I know that for a fact. So I'm just looking forward to it. Hopefully we play good ball.
I agree with everything you guys say. I think on the Lakers is interesting because they kind of go they have the same issue that the Bucks have with Damian Lillard, where we've talked about it, where we think the Bucks kind of go as Dame Lillard goes, and I think that's the Lakers have that AD issue where it's like they go as AD goes. And I talked about this on Bucks 60 for a second tonight, John, where it's like, to me, Anthony Davis has played more games this year than he has in a long time in his career, but they haven't been as impactful and I think that Anthony Davis is out there trying to play, maybe not to get hurt, right? And so he's out there not being as dominant as he normally can be, or as he would normally try to be, because it's like, I'm just going to prove to everybody I can play games, instead of going out there going full tilt 100% every single night he's on the floor. I don't think he's necessarily doing that. I think he picks his spots. So if it's a game where he's picked the spot and he's like, I'm gonna show the Bucks tonight, yeah, because we know Anthony Davis can easily give you, like I said, he can easily throw up 30 and 15 at any given time. But we'll see if that's what happens when the Bucks play him. But yeah, I think if you can split, even if Giannis is healthy, it's tough to go on a West Coast trip. It's tough to go win all those games. Yeah, if you can get 3-2, like I said, starting with this one, the fifth one, if you can go 3-2 in these games, I'm okay with it, and see what the Bucks can do. They'll be in the state of California for the next week. So again, we'll see what the Bucks can do. Of course, you got the Clippers on next Sunday, so they're going to be waiting to see if they can get a dub and get their face back. But again, a good win tonight. So that's what I want to see. I want to see good, hard, competitive ball. Again, it depends on whether or not Giannis plays. If he doesn't, you just try and stack as many wins as you can, and see, like I said, just kind of see what happens. Any final words tonight on the Bucks getting the dub? 113-106. They rallied back behind Damian Lillard's 41 points to beat the Los Angeles Clippers.
Hey, man. Doc's got this team believing. I believe. You believe. We believe. Man, on the Wednesday, energetic, great night. Enjoy this, Bucks fans. This is beautiful, beautiful Bucks basketball. And, man, I am a believer in Doc as of right now.
Yeah, very gritty win. Showed a lot. Showed what the depth gives you. Shows what the guys you need to lean on at some points in the season give you. And I loved it. I loved every moment of this game. And yeah, they just proved that we got some dogs. We got some dogs.
At by any means 35 says Doc did some experimenting with different lineups, found one that worked and stuck with it. Dancing Queen said it's time to fear the deer. J Love for 6 says, wow, just wow. Thought tonight was not our night, but we kept fighting and it worked out. And then at Ross Curley says, I'm not a huge Bucks guy, but that was a fun game to watch. This is a whole new energized team since the All-Star break. And then one more, Craig _RINV says, I love this team. What a win. And yeah, just echoing all of that, all those different sentiments there. That yeah, this was a game where you may not have thought you had it. Maybe it wasn't there, but what this game showed me over anything was that the Milwaukee Bucks, they have enough. They have enough on the roster to win an NBA title. They absolutely do. Will they go out and do it? Will they go out and prove it? Will they go out and show it? Well, that remains to be seen, but they are good enough to win a championship, because I think a lot of people think that Clippers team, if somebody told you that the Clippers came out of the Western Conference, I don't think anybody would be surprised. And so that was just a very, very tough win tonight. Good win for the Milwaukee Bucks, 113-106 over the Los Angeles Clippers. Fun one. King of Kings says, a great show, a Disney. And then Travis says, Lakers not it. That is the battle cry. So good stuff. Again, appreciate everybody for tuning in, watching, listening to the Cream City Crossover. Appreciate all your likes, subscribes, follows, everything. Tell a friend to tell a friend about the Cream City Crossover. You'll see us every single night after the Milwaukee Bucks play basketball, post-game shows all the time right here at the Cream City Crossover. We'd like to thank our sponsor tonight, law offices of Daly M. Johnson. Give him a call, 608-893-8370. There's a lot of ice, a lot of, I don't know, like it was, what was going on in Wisconsin, man. It looked like there's a lot of bad storms that were going on. Listen, I don't know, maybe you had a little bit of drink in the fire serve on your way back. I don't know what happened. Celebrating this win, roads a little slick. Hey, they might be trying to blame you for that accident. Call my guy, Daly M. Johnson, 608-893-8370. He will get you right. This has been a Cream City Media Group production. Bucks win 113-106. We'll see you on Wednesday night after the Bucks take on the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry. Don't take no wooden nickels.